Hey YouTube, welcome back to Jerry and Jamie 2 Up. My name is Jerry, and today I'm going to address one of the questions I get asked the most on social media. And that question is, why did I leave the Concours to go to the Versys? So today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of both bikes. Look, they're both great machines, but there's a reason one's better for us than the other. So stay tuned, and when we get back I'll tell you which bike is better for us. Hey, before we dive into the reasons of why I chose the Versys versus the Concours, I'd like to thank you guys for joining our channel. We're really seeing an increase in subscribers, so I really want to thank you for that. So if you like motorcycle videos, jeeping, camping videos, this is the place to be. So if you could, just subscribe for us, smash the bell, that sort of thing. All the YouTube stuff, you know the drill. So now let's get into the reasons of why we're riding a Versys instead of a Concours. Jamie and I have been very fortunate as we've got to ride multiple versions of these motorcycles. We've had a C10 Kawasaki Concours and we had a C14 Kawasaki Concours. We had the first generation Versys that came to the United States in 2015, and now we're riding the 19 Versys. We put 21,000 miles on the 2010, and we put over 75,000 miles on the C14. We put about 30,000 miles on the 15 Versys, and now we've got about 15 to 16,000 miles on the newer one. So I think I'm pretty versed in being able to tell the differences and what we like and what other people seem to like about both of the machines. Jamie and I started our motorcycle journey on a 2005 C10 25th anniversary Concours, and that's what kind of got the passion burning in the two of us to ride 2 Up. I'd been riding most of my life, but Jamie had never really indulged in the hobby as passionately as I had, and this was really sparked a big thing between the two of us. And we put 21,000 miles on that motorcycle. Unfortunately, it met its demise on Arkansas 16, had a little bit of an accident. I'll put a couple pictures over there just so you can kind of see what's going on. But at that point, I really thought Jamie might not want to ride again. It was just kind of a lack of talent error on my part, going into a corner way too fast, riding 2 Up. But man, 6 months later, she wanted to be back on the bike and jump back on it. So at that time, we went through a couple other versions of motorcycle. Really liked the sport touring part of the Concours. So we got a really good deal on a 2008 C14. Man, it was almost too good a deal to pass up. 500 miles on it. It had a Two Brothers pipe, had bar risers, everything that we would do to a motorcycle it already had. So it really helped us make that decision. We put 75,000 miles on that motorcycle, and man, we've had some great journeys on that. Many times to the East Coast, Colorado, New Mexico, just tons of miles on there and just a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that motorcycle, and I would have to say I would buy another one tomorrow. I'd been watching on the UK boards and a bunch of the forums about the new Versys coming to the United States. So in 2015, when it did come to the United States, orange, it was beautiful, well priced. Great reviews, had the Ninja 1000 engine, so it was kind of a no-brainer. We decided to go ahead and turn in the C14, and we purchased the 2015 Versys. It was a great machine. We put 30,000 miles on it. We'd probably still be riding it had the new version of the Versys hadn't come out. But one day I'm sitting there and I'm reading a newspaper from the UK again, and they mentioned this 2019 Versys and all the bells and whistles it's going to have, including, you know, heated grips, cruise control, and parts that it's going to have on it, speed shifter, quick shifter, just everything it had on it just really kind of pulled at me because we loved our Versys, and we just said, well, man, if they're making one that's even got more bells and whistles on it, we'll really love that. So we called our friends in Plano, Kawasaki, got with AJ, and when they got one in, we decided to pull the trigger and take care of that. And I will say we have never looked back on that. The suspension, the TFT, all the stuff that the new Versys has on it is incredible and really makes the motorcycle experience a good one. I will say the $5K extra price tag was hard to swallow, but again, sometimes they tell you you get what you pay for. So that brings us to the question all the time. Do I miss the C14? Do I miss the power of the C14? Do I miss the shaft drive? That sort of thing. And look, I have to say that nothing has been as exciting as a C14 when you just grab a bunch of throttle and twisted your wrist. That thing would just propel you through the air. It was a great machine, very adrenaline driven, as I would say. The had a lot of bags, had a nice windscreen. It was a great touring motorcycle. For the type of riding that we like to do, it fit pretty well, except for when we got into the real twisty stuff up in Arkansas and even in North Carolina, that sort of thing. And the reason being is the bike was just big, right? It's just a heavy motorcycle. So you'd get in there and, I mean, running 200 miles in Arkansas twisties on that C14, you would feel it. You were pushing around 690 pounds all day long. Like I said, you could have a ball on it and it was fun. But boy, you worked at it, and maybe somebody with a lot more skill level than myself would. But riding two up on a 690-pound motorcycle, it got rough by the end of the day. I will also say that Concours went through tires like it was starving for rubber. We used to have to go. I could get maybe 4,500 out of a rear tire, and that's trying multiple tires, using the same Michelin tires that I use now on the Versys that I get almost 8,000 miles out of on the rear tire. I got 4,500, and I'd get about maybe 8,000 out of the front, which I'm getting about 10,000 out of the front. So that's just another heads up. And again, the C14 was hot. It just ran hot. The 2008, they knew they had the issue. In fact, starting the next year, they redesigned the fairing and kind of took care of that problem. But man, my 2008 was really warm. One of the reasons we decided to go the Versys is there's a reason it's called the Versys, the versatile system, right? It's much lighter. It's on a great platform. Kawasaki knows how to make a motor, and that Ninja 1000 motor is just incredible. The weight came in at 526 pounds, 165 pounds lighter than the Concours. That makes a huge difference. Now, two-up riding, Jamie says that she's more comfortable on the Versys than she was the Concours. And I think you can kind of see that because the Versys is a much taller machine. And she's got a lot more, being that she's only 5'2". She basically sits on the back like a regular chair. Her legs are just at a really natural fit, so it really works out well for her. On the Concours, she's a little more scrunched up. Also, in the type of riding we like to do, up here in Arkansas and Colorado, it's just easier to push around the corners and that sort of thing. When the 19 came out, I was just mesmerized by the look of it, for one thing. Bigger fairing, cruise control, heated grips. Now, most of you are going to laugh. I'd never owned a motorcycle with cruise control and heated grips because I thought, to be honest with you, I thought that was things that I really didn't need. I'm not a big fan of it. I'll use it, but I could do without it. Whoever made the heated grips, that's one of the best inventions ever for a motorcycle. And I don't know if I could ever ride a motorcycle without heated grips again. I used to say the same thing about the GPS, right? When I started riding, my dad and I had maps. You put them on your tank bag. You wrote out your route, and you did that. I said, I never need a GPS. Once you get a GPS and you realize how to use it, and you realize how much ease it allows for your ride, and you can take your mind off of it and just kind of go by that, I'll be honest, I would never ride without a GPS again. So again, heated grips, the cruise control, the suspension is unbelievable. Multiple adjustments. It's great for two up. It just makes riding easier. ABS, cornering ABS. I really wish the Concours, they would just do all those things to the Concours. I think it would make that platform a lot more appealing to people. Some of the questions I get asked all the time was, do you miss the power? There are times I miss the power, but then for the most part, no. The Concours would go quickly. But it would also go so quickly it could get you in trouble. And without all the other stuff on it that the Versys has on it, maybe ridden really fast and in twisty stuff, it was a little above my capacity, or maybe it was just above my concentration level for an extended period of time. The Versys is so much easier to ride fast in twisty corners and that sort of thing. Everybody says, oh, but you got to deal with a chain on the Versys. Folks, today's chains are easy to maintain as long as you keep them clean. They're not a big deal to take on. They're lighter. You got to replace them every 20,000 miles. But I don't miss a shaft drive. I mean, I liked having a shaft. It's cool that you don't have to do the maintenance. But if you're trying to choose between the Versys and the Concours, or going to any motorcycle that has a chain compared to a shaft, I really can't see how that should be something that should alter you from buying a machine. Jamie liked the Versys as much as she did the Concours, and she actually likes it more. I kind of touched on it earlier. It's just an easier bike for us to ride further and longer at times. I've done multiple 700, 800 mile days on the Versys. On the Concours, I'll be honest with you, that was tough to do just because of being 6'2", the Versys stands taller, so it's a much more comfortable ride for myself. It's not as hot, and like I said, I know the 2000 they changed that in later models, but the 2008 was unbearably hot. I can't tell you enough about that. So look, at the end of the day, the Concours and the Versys are very, very good machines. I would go back to a Concours. If they stopped making a Versys and I was looking for a new motorcycle, I'd probably go back to a Concours. I love the platform, but right now the Versys fits Jamie and I to a T. It's a wonderful machine. It's great for two-up, touring. It's just a good overall, and I hate to say it, versatile system that you can do anything and everything on. Do you want to buy a Versys or do you want to buy a Concours? It's going to be all up to you guys. They're both very good machines. I think the bang for the buck on both of the machines are great. You know, you can. Are there better motorcycles out there? Probably so. You know, but you're going to pay for that by a lot. And I don't know if there's better motorcycles out there if you took everything, nut and bolts, and how much it costs and maintenance. I don't know if there's too many machines out there that are that much better than either the Versys or the Concours. If you guys have any thoughts, if you've ridden any of the machines, put your comments down below. It's kind of funny, we never dropped the Concours, the C14, the heavy bike, but now I've already dropped the Versys. But there are some good stories. I'll leave you with one story. We were in Raton, New Mexico with the Concours, and we had just ridden all day, 600 miles. We get off, it's raining. We decide to go eat at this Mexican restaurant. Jamie gets off the bike and she goes around the other corner, stands next to the right-hand side of the motorcycle. I get off and I go to put the bike on the center stand, and when I stepped on the center stand, I used to put my weight on it because the bike was heavy, and I went to pick it up. Well, it started falling, and when it started falling away from me. Jamie just kind of threw herself underneath there and held it up so we could keep it up. So I tell that story all the time. That was a great save by Jamie, and it's kind of funny. It shows her dedication to the sport. So guys, I hope you like this video. It's quick. I'm sorry I'm doing it from inside, but it's nasty outside. Really cold. It actually snowed a little bit this morning. So Kawasaki versus Concours. Hope you got a little bit of insight there. Again, both good machines, but right now we are Versys people. If you like what you see, have any comments, just put them down below. Again, subscribe if you get a chance. And if you have any other comments about videos that you want to see in the future, just let me know. So until then, everybody, have a great day. Ride safe if you're out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.